As for now, we'll be having the panel discussion with us on stage, where I'll be introducing Building a Strong AI and Data Foundation for Business Transformation with our experts, Maz Hussein, the Digital Lighthouse Leader, COE for Data, AI and Emerging Technologies from KPMG, Saudi Arabia. Please welcome our moderator on stage. Joining him will be Adnan Malik, the Director, Advanced Analytics and Consumer Reporting from Mobily. Can we welcome him on stage? And we have 3 other speakers as well. Yazid Al-Azrawi, Head of New Technologies Assessment from SFDA. Assam Al-Baishi, Director of Development and Strategic Planning from Saudi Irrigation Organization. And last but not least, Iqbal Quran, Chief Technology Officer from Marsool.
Great. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum jamia. Great to be here today. And esteemed guests, welcome. Good to see you. So today, the topic has been data and AI, and everybody's been talking about it for multiple years. The hype of AI, from my perspective, I've been in kind of the data career for pretty much my whole consulting career, which is spanning across 25 odd years. But in the last 10, AI has really started taking center stage and really creating a lot of buzz globally. However, in Saudi Arabia, I think it's very special because as we start thinking about Vision 2030, one of the key pillars in turbocharging and allowing us to achieve the vision will require good AI. So I think it's very important as we think about AI and the uses of AI and how it's accelerating transformation. I'd love to talk a bit about what that means for us. Here in Saudi Arabia, there's been a huge amount of investment as we think about AI. Some of the big investments are some of the mega cities we're looking at now. So we've got Amala and Neom and others. And cities like that are predicated, future cities like that are predicated on having good AI, being able to have good customer experience, being able to manage workflows and traffic in an automated fashion. So the need for good AI is certainly there. The ambition is there and the imagination is there. But I suppose the question really comes down to, are we really achieving that ambition? And what are some of the blockers and some of the challenges that we're facing? Before we go into our panel, I'd also like to share with you some findings from a recent survey we run at KPMG. One of the big topics that we are all hearing a lot about now is generative AI or ChatGPT, and it's taken center stage again today. So I won't talk about generative AI, but what I will tell you is when we did a survey globally on of global leaders as it relates to generative AI, what we found was 65% of them believe generative AI will have extremely high impact on their organization in the next 5 years. There was also a section of them, nearly 60% of them, who said that they are expecting their first implementation of AI in the next 1 to 2 years. So nothing in the next 6 or 8 months, right? So it was quite telling that actually they're looking at what the lead time is of something like that. However, they also said that 72% agree that generative AI can play a critical role in building and maintaining stakeholder trust, but 45% say that it can have a negative impact on organizational trust if the appropriate risks management wasn't implemented or put in place. So as you think about all of these different big topics, what I'd really like to start talking about in this debate today is really talking about how we are making use of AI within enterprise. I'm going to say specifically in KSA because I think Saudi Arabia is a very unique region right now with everything going on with Vision 2030. So I'd really like to focus on that. And for that, my first question is going to be for you, Yazid, if that's okay. And it's going to be, before we go into AI, what I'd like to hear from you, Yazid, is what are the big asks from your perspective as it relates to technology from your organization? What are people asking you for?
We work in the healthcare field, and when you say AI on the individual level, people tend to be suspicious if it's that going to hurt them or in any way they're going to be impacted. Well, they will be impacted, but definitely in a good way. Today we're using AI as a tool, it's not as a field of science isolated from you. It's a tool to help the healthcare provider to provide you with a better healthcare. Now we are using the AI for collecting data from various sources. One of them is the device on your watches, which collects your heart rate. As well, it combines that with your patient health record and, for example, your images from the radiology and the results from genome testing and biotechnologies. These data are real-world data. They are collected and they could avoid people or institutions to conduct big clinical trials. They provide sort of evidence that could give predictions for rare disease for specific type of population. These are becoming a real-world data. They're not only data now, they have become a data. As well, these data, they could generate for individual people, and they create a digital twin. The digital twin could suggest and recommend a type of intervention or a type of diagnosis. It as well could give a simulation for the individual himself that this medical treatment may work in a certain way or may fail in other certain way.
Yes, great. And actually, what's really fascinating is you're sharing us a kind of a health or human example. What I'd like to do is actually turn my attention to a slightly different sector, which is the telco sector. It would be good to hear from you, Adnan, from your perspective, what are the big asks from your business? So from Yazid's, it's really around telematics, it's around human, how the body is performing, and then how that data is being used to improve quality of life. But what are you seeing? Got it.
I think telco is one of those industries right now where I think so the data in which industry I will call. Okay, and now the question, especially that how telcos are structuring that data in a proper way. Okay, once they are structuring like in the Saudi Arabia, like the telcos are significantly advanced and they have a lot of advanced technologies available, especially from the AI is concerned. They are doing very well in terms of utilizing that data and doing a lot of use cases on the artificial intelligence. Okay, they are doing pretty good onto the. They are doing pretty good on the customer experience. Okay, they are doing making a lot of digitalization. Okay, making a lot of advancement in that. They are making a lot of use cases onto the network optimization by using the AI. They are doing identifying the new revenue streams, okay, in terms of churn prediction models. They are identifying in advance proactively that what are those customers which can be churned in the future, okay. They are using the existing customers' behaviors and training the different sort of machine learning models on which they are deciding that what are the other customers in their customer base, their customer segments, which are probably towards churn. And at the end, they are like a lot of other ways that they are monetizing this data externally as well. Other industries are purchasing that information from the telco companies, same like they are purchasing from Facebook or the Google or these sort of things. They're purchasing that data and doing the decision making on that. Like I will give you example, like Starbucks is right now taking decisions in the Saudi Arabia by using the telco's data, that where, in which location, on which district they have to open the new branches of the Starbucks. There are a lot of other use cases. I just described one of those use cases. Same like the food delivery companies like Hunger Station. They are using this sort of information.
But Marsool,
Same like Mansoor as well. They are doing these sort of decisions by using the telco data. So telco is like well advanced in the AI field by using the machine learning or the deep learning technologies and using that particular data available with them.
Great. And I think that's really accurate. We are also seeing sector agnostic. We are seeing telcos are very, very advanced amongst some of the other sectors. But
if I may just,
go for it.
especially that you've been looking at, give me the eye contact. I thought I have just to say something here.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all agree that ChatGPT is booming. It's funny that I arrived last night, and my mom been asking me about how to use ChatGPT to prepare some mensaf. If you look at it, it's like that doesn't. And so you can see the adoption here. It's like you would feel you're left out if you're not being prepared. And I'm so lucky at Marsool that I have a great team who've been preparing the past year or so by investing on our engineers to train them. It's like we've been the local content is some big issue. So we've been preparing our local data so we can run experiments and so on. And finally, we've been preparing our infrastructure. It's like, it's unlike web and mobile development. It's a little bit trickier to do training for machine learning. I just thought to, sorry for the interruption, but
no, it's very, very helpful.
I felt jealous because, just a comparison, he couldn't mention Marsool, so I just, with the ego reasons.
No, Iqbal, you're more than welcome to interrupt. Look, given you've got the mic, what would be good to hear from you is Adnan and Yazid have talked a bit about in their sectors how they're using technologies to advance, and those technologies obviously are reliant on data or giving off data. And some of the advances or monetization examples that Adnan shared was around how they're monetizing their data with companies like yourself. What would be really interesting, given you're more startup than some of the enterprises in the government that we got in here, what are some of the innovations that you're driving in your business or being asked to by your leadership to drive as part of Mansool?
So
Iqbal.
I mean, I think our strategy for this year to focus on a few things, mainly the user experience, to have a seamless experience for our customers. That's something we're definitely trying to do using many tools, like especially that you've been talking about generative AI.
Yeah.
So an AI chatbot, as for example, would help not just the customer care and having a better experience. Another thing we've been focused on is like automation or like optimizing our operations in general. It's like that includes many things. Stuff like fraud detection. You need to act proactive here. It's like you can't wait for a fraud to happen until it's been reported. It would be too late back then. So we've been utilizing AI the past few years. I wouldn't say it's not just ChatGPT, a lot of other stuff, classification, clustering, and a lot of predictive models. But we've been thinking about large language models right now, as what you mentioned, generative AI. If I can give an example here, is like, especially one of my teams here, have been working on dispatcher model, and dispatcher is the algorithm is being used usually to assign some orders to couriers, and you can just think of it as like it would definitely have like direct impact when you have like the best route list for your order. It means less fuel consumption, faster delivery time, and better pricing. So it's like usually I can go on for long, but keep quiet for like.
No, please don't. It's very valuable and good insight that you're sharing. So let me come on, Essam, to you, if I may. We've talked obviously about kind of the use cases and what we're seeing in different enterprises, and some of the innovation in the startups, which I'm really pleased to hear is cutting edge. I want to hear more about some of the fraud cases actually, but we'll come back to you in a minute because I'm curious on the types of fraud that takes place on Mansool. But from your perspective, Issam, what are some of the barriers you're seeing? I know you're kind of transitioning between one organization and another, so you've got kind of two organization views around the adoption of tools in AI. And perhaps you could describe it as we think about the data lifecycle. What are some of the challenges you're seeing in your organization?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maz, for this introduction. And also, I think you know more about me now. I moved from entity to another entity. So I had an experience more than 15 years on the field, working as an AI and data. I start since the data and BI, then I moved to AI as well. So there is a lot of data use, AI and data use cases that we have been utilized there in my entity before. So we have worked on OT and IT as well. So for example, in IT, we have worked and utilized an RPA for process automation, robotic process automation for automation and automation for our systems and connect between each others. And also we have worked on IT side for a digital twin, as my colleague mentioned, and we have a lot of the use cases on these fields. Moving forward to data, we have enabled the data intelligence department in my previous work. That department is responsible for strategic research and development as well, that focus on the SCADA data from OT, and also we are utilizing an SAP for some corporate data that we have. And as you know, we have maybe more than 50 years of experience and data that we're utilizing, since it's called the big data and the huge data. So that's why that's enable the data science. But as you mentioned, Maz, that what is the challenges, what is the lack that we, or some struggling that we are faced? Yeah, there is a lot of struggling that prevent us to achieve the target within the time with the accuracy that we are looking for. First of it, maybe the lack of expertise. I think any organization has to hire their high level of expertise and knowledge, and this is not easy to find, either to hire them in-house or having them as a outsourcing. Also another point for data management, maybe most of us now there is a new concept of a data management that has been published by NDMO, that maybe will be a barrier for us to achieve some our goals, such as mainly the data availability. So we have to apply all the policies and procedure from the data management as well. Maybe I have two more obstacles or struggling that we have faced. The third one, it's the cost, for sure. The new technology is expensive, especially if we are changing from technology to a new technology, or if we have a huge big data project. The last one, it's a change management, resistant of a change. So we can face employees there in the organization. They are resist to change, since they are maybe either because they are afraid, or they are afraid of the new technologies, to deal with the new technologies, or either they are not sure that we achieve or with the benefit of these new technologies.
Great. Thank you.
May I interrupt one last time? I promise.
No.
It's like,
Yeah, sure.
Because it's very interesting. I totally agree, especially is that, training. It's a new field. We lack local talents, I would say. I think training is pretty important, to encourage engineers to do, to embrace failure, It's like to do a lot of trial and error. Because as you mentioned, it's very interesting what you mentioned about experiments. When you run experiments, usually it's expensive, labeling data, gathering data. So planning is essential part here. I mean, unlike, let's say, web development, in which, like, usually you're investing the time for the engineer. Here's like it's way more expensive. Sometimes you run, train a model for months, gathering the data, sometimes spending hundreds of thousands to end up with no results. So that's pretty interesting. I just want to add like one part. I'm confused. Like, where is it? Yeah, but I would like. I think a very important aspect here is like focusing on local Arabic quality content. I mean, if you want to, if you're like from technical backgrounds, you want to run experiments. Usually, it's like you find a lot of data, available data, English data. I would think that you can't run an experiment, as you mentioned, because it's expensive, unless you have the right data, to have like complete data, non-biased data, accurate data, and we're lacking this at the moment. I mean, it would be nice to have like some, I don't know, hopefully some regulations, something for people to start sharing their data. That would make it very helpful for users. I'm gonna,
I do agree with you, but
Yeah.
actually we will we will be recover from this lack soon, since a lot of data scientists will be graduated soon, and we have seen a lot of local competences will be available in the market maybe soon. But I do encourage the new people that would like to study that they have studied with data engineering. We are lack of that, and also this is specialty. It's not available yet in the market.
Absolutely. I mean, usually data engineer, they have usually the mindset of like having theoretical aspect, not just the practical aspect. So it's a little bit challenging. Most of the engineers, I would say, that could be tricky. I don't want to have like my engineers. Yeah, I mean, it's like as an engineer, I try to avoid going through papers, as for example. So, having the right mindset is like, I would say data engineer, usually they have this theoretical background, in which like they can read papers, understand the math behind it, and then apply some coding, their coding skill to validate what's happening. Yeah, thank you.
Great. I think so this is a really intellectual point around data engineering, because 2014, where the big hype around big data happened, and then you saw the master's programs come out, and all the master's programs were kind of data science or business analytics and things like that. And you find all these smart people come through, and actually a lot of the work that's required is in the engineering and the cleaning and the data wrangling, and we don't have anybody in that space. So I think that's very apparent. So very apparent in this market, but I don't think it's just this market. I think it's a global phenomenon. There is a shortage of these skills, and ones that are in high demand. So I think that's very good. Just to summarize, and then I'll ask anybody that wants to do any closing remarks. But from my perspective, what I'm hearing is the demand from organizations and enterprises for AI and data to drive the business is high, or the organization. And there's some key pillars that people need to be mindful of to be successful. One of the key ones is change management and the people. The second is being able to find the right talent, so change and talent. And the third is probably around the data quality and data management and data governance. I suppose those are the three big takeaways that I'm hearing from you. But is there anything that any of you would like to add?
Is it for me?
Yeah. You count for one of the three, yes, or four. Yes, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm talking, we're a startup, Marsool. It's a little bit different. It's like with enterprise. It's like we need to keep in mind of like being agile here. Again, running experiments is like, with hundreds of thousands without having like a solid plan. It would like, I think that's one of those challenges. You can't just plan it as like conventional way of doing, typical web development. So it needs to be precise about what needs to be done. I can give you like example about what we did with the recommendation engine, because it's a broad subject, right? It's like, so if we decided to go through stages, it's like, at the beginning, like to take, let's say, 17 parameters, like, the type of food that you're ordering and stuff, your historical data and so on. So I think, it's like for startups, they need to be a little bit careful when they do the planning. I mean, that's something I feel is essential, especially, again, it's a new field. And it's riskier to do, and it's more expensive to run experiments there. As my colleagues...
But I think from the three pillars, I've got to add experimentation. I think you're absolutely right. Adding a core part of being successful is being able to identify use cases, but you need to be able to have the the courage and the environment to allow people to experiment. Just before we close, because I'm being shown a 2-minute sign. Yazid, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yes, going back to the topic, which is how AI helping business. The current medical treatment today, they are considered sort of expensive. The data generated today, they help reduce this cost. It's a growing field for even business and manufacturers of medical devices.
Great. Yeah, that's really helpful. So, guys, so I hear experimentation, change management, good data practices, and the war on talent are kind of the 4 big things.
If you allow me, maybe, Maz, one missing point, the strategy.
Okay.
If we have a comprehensive or robust strategy, this is I think the 4th principle and the main, the most significant principle that to be added into your triangle.
Brilliant. There you go. So that's the summary, right,
Yeah.
guys? So
Without the strategy, everything will be disappear.
perfect. So that in sequence, then you start with a good strategy. That you're getting this information for free, so you should write it down, right? So you start with a strategy. In your strategy, you make sure that you create the environment to be able to experiment, so you can drive new innovation. You ensure that within your strategy, you're looking at your data management, your data quality, and your data governance that allows you to give you good quality data that you're feeding through. Once you have that data and you're doing the experimentation, you should start thinking about the change management, because the impact of that data is going to be on the business. So I think that's a fair summary. I'm going to pause there in case people want to ask questions. Good. Well, thank you for being great audiences, and thank you for being great panelists.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Yeah, with everyone. Yeah. Yeah.